You guys still with me? I'm sorry I'm so long-winded. Obviously, this is going to be multiple parts. Let's keep going. Once you decide where you're going to deliver the baby, call the labor and delivery center and find out what comes home with you on your delivery cart. Your insurance will cover this. These are things like wipes, diapers, possibly pacifiers, your aspirator, and some other things. These things here came home with me on my delivery cart. If you are pro pacifier, this is most likely the pacifier you'll come home with at the hospital. Not all babies like them, and a lot of parents worry about nipple confusion. Scarlett took a pacifier for the first 2 weeks of her life and then didn't want it, never again. She was done. Now, I had registered for some pacifiers in case, you know, she really needed them, and what I didn't realize is some pacifiers are for 6 months and up, so you make sure that you check your labels on the pacifiers so that you're not registering for a bunch of older baby nookies that you can't even use. This is the kind you'll get in the hospital, has a round base, and it really swallows their whole little face up because their faces are so tiny. If you want to get the same kind once you come home, if they take that one well, these are called gumdrops, and it has a little space for their nose at the top. These are supposed to simulate the breast and make the baby work hard because it has that nubbin on the bottom. It's supposed to help them, you know, keep up their suction and work hard to keep it in their mouths so that they don't have a problem with nipple confusion. However, I think nipple confusion is kind of hyped up. I heard a lot about it when I was pregnant. I, like any other new mom, was concerned about it, and then every mother I talked to didn't really have to deal with it. So I'm sure there are babies who struggle with it, and if you have one, then it's a big deal for you, but I don't think it's as common as it is talked about. So anyways, there's the pacifiers. Don't get a ton of them until you know if your baby wants one or not, and you know what your baby likes. The medela products were actually provided by my hospital cart as well. I registered for this, so I got it double time because it was on my cart and then somebody got it for me. This has everything you really need if you're going to be a breastfeeding mom. If you are a formula feeding mom, then I don't have the right tips for you because we haven't done that. So sorry, you might want to fast forward a little bit. But for breastfeeding moms, if you're going to be staying home for any amount of time, you might wonder how many bottles you need or if you need a breast pump, those sorts of questions. Here's my opinion. Remember, just my opinion. You do not need to get a ton of different types of bottles. Most likely, your baby will take whatever bottle you decide is going to be best for your family. And if they don't, you can do the research beforehand on other types you'd like to try. And once you know that your baby won't take the first ones you tried, send someone out to go buy those. If you make the same mistake I did, which is I got the medela sets, I got the breast flow bottles, and I got the Dr. Brown's bottles because I was really worried about colic. I thought, I don't want to have a screaming baby and not have the right bottle on hand. So I invested in those, didn't use them at all, and I waited too long to return them. So I had to sell them for half price at a consignment event. And those were expensive purchases. This is what I would recommend you start with. It's the only thing you really would need. It has freezer storage bottles, which these nipples can be popped off and put on these tubes. And these are nice and narrow for your freezer. It has storage bags. Sorry about the light. Let's see. You see that there? There's storage bags at the bottom. These lids here can be popped onto these bottles as well, and they're 5-ounce bottles. You don't need to go get those big, tall, I believe 8 or maybe even 12-ounce bottles right at the beginning. Your baby is only going to start having 1 to 2 to 3 ounces as they develop. Their tiny tummies start out the size of a marble. A marble, not even a big shooter marble, a little marble. So you don't need to worry about getting a ton of fluids in them. This is great if you are going to pump. Now, as far as breast pumps go, I really wondered when I was pregnant, do I need to invest in one of those $400 breast pumps like the Medela Pump and Styles? The answer is no. Most hospitals will lend out, and I'll say lend because your insurance covers the cost, of a hospital pump for 1 month. The hospital pumps are better quality than any kind you can buy in the stores. It might seem weird to be getting something from the hospital, but just remember that any parts that are going to touch your body or deal with your milk are new, you know, for you. They weren't used by any other patients, and they're not going to be used by any other patients after you. They give you sterile new parts for that. The only part that you're using from the hospital is the motor that creates the suction, and it's a really good, strong quality motor. So If you want to get a pump, you can talk to your hospital about renting one afterwards. Now, if you're planning on going back to work, I would still recommend just renting one at the beginning and then deciding what kind you want to purchase after you've already used the hospital one, because you'll know a little bit more about breast pumps at that point if you're going to make that big purchase. The reality is, if you're not going back to work, or if you don't need to pump a lot, whatever your situation is, where you don't need to pump every day, you don't need an electric pump. I thought it seemed crazy when somebody said they just used a hand pump, but my hospital gave me one on my delivery cart. It was a Medela pump. It works wonderfully. It's super easy, and I pump almost every day, once a day, just to build up my freezer stash so that when I'm done breastfeeding, I'll still have some milk in the freezer that I can still feed her instead of having to purchase formula. So that's all you really need. A little hand pump. They're really, really inexpensive. You can buy them at Target if your hospital doesn't supply them. I think they even come in these gift pack things too. It'll have everything you need, and then these are wonderful. Yes, I think that is it for that part of the cart. Next, I'll talk about what's on the cart for you. Also on your delivery cart to come home with you are some post-delivery needs for mommy. If you have a vaginal delivery, you definitely want your Perri Bottle. It's your best friend. Don't leave it at the hospital. Take it home. You need this if you have a 2nd or 3rd degree tear or stitches. You need your Perri Bottle for when you try and go to the restroom. It makes it manageable. Also pads. I went out and bought a big pack of pads, and I really didn't need to because the hospital provided me with 3 different sizes. The first size are so big I could lay the baby down on them and use it as a changing pad to change her diaper. They were huge. The second size are kind of like old people incontinence pads, and then the third size are just regular thick pads. I thought they were all great. The third size ones were a little awkward because they were smaller but still really, really hefty. So I just used the ones I had purchased for myself instead. And then after that you have panty liners that you can get yourself. So that's what worked for us. Nursing covers. These are really popular, you know, Hooter hiders or udder covers or whatever you want to call them. And they're great. I do think that you need one or something like it because when you're first coming home, you will have a lot of visitors. There'll be a lot of visitors in the hospital. And if you are modest and want to cover up, then you don't want to have to get up and leave the room or ask everybody else to leave the room anytime baby's hungry. And baby is demanding and will ask to eat whenever they want to eat. There's no time to organize the rest of the people around them. So you do want to have a nursing cover. However, you don't have to invest in this specialty product. You can totally use, like this is one of those really popular right now, cottony scarves, like shawly scarf thing. You can totally use that, or one of your swaddling blankets. They work just as well. Scarlett actually really likes this. It's super soft and the sun shines through it, so I use this a lot for, you know, taking it to church or feeding her there, something like that. You want to have at least 1 pack of wipes, 72 count, and 1 pack of travel wipes for your diaper bag. I like the Huggies Natural Care brand, but that's totally a parent preference. The reason I like these ones are when you tear them out of here, they don't take a bunch with them. You know, you don't get like 5-6 sheets that are all chained together. They come out nice and clean. The up&up Target brand ones were recommended to me, and it was just like you had to whip your wrist apart to get them to separate. You have one hand on the baby, you want to be able to do one-handed wipe removal.